Hey friends, here are a few things to keep in mind this week and a couple of practices that I'd like for you to try to lean into in conversation with your child. So this week, I'd like for you to get in touch a little with your own story. When is the last time you really took some time to remember your own story, your own faith story? When was the last time you reflected on your own sense of being lost throughout your life? What was it like for you before you came to realize that God was there for you, that God was pursuing you? Or maybe you yourself have walked through some of the deconstruction that I talked about in the previous video. Maybe you've spent a season of your life feeling lost. Maybe you're actually in that season right now. Maybe you feel like your own life with God is a bit on a rocky path, and maybe you feel distant from God or you feel confused. I want you to spend some time this week reflecting on your own spiritual story, and I want you to pay attention to how you feel as you reflect on that. What gets stirred up for you? Where do you see the kindness of God in your own story, for example? When were the periods where you can look back and to see where God was pursuing after you, maybe when you were sort of on the wrong path? And this week with your child, see if your child has any memories of being lost, or maybe there's a time that they felt lost, even for a brief moment. I know as a parent that there have been several times where my kids have wandered off in the store or at the park. They've sort of dipped into the woods a little bit ahead of me, and there's this little sense of panic that sort of comes over me when that happens. But I wonder if any of our kids remember a time where they felt like they were out of sight in a way that made them feel unsafe, like they didn't feel protected. Obviously, if there's a really traumatic experience of being lost for your child, I'd encourage you not to do this part. But if your child does have some small experience of being lost, engage that story a bit. And if they don't, maybe share with them a time that you felt lost. Maybe something from an earlier period of your life. And then I want you to read through the passage in Luke chapter 15. Your child will feel very familiar with the story because it's going to take them through the passage about the lost sheep. And the imaginative prayer that we've just done is, of course, drawn from that passage. I want you to have some conversation with your child this week about the reality that some people don't have life with God. Some people don't have conversation with God. They aren't connected with God at all. And I want you to ask your child how he or she feels about this. Ask them if there's anyone that they know or that they think may not have a connection with God, and spend some time praying for that person, that they would be found by God and that they would know that God is a God who is always looking to bring people into deeper connection with God's self. This week, I want you just to orient some conversation around this sense of lostness. And I want you to help your child realize that they have been found by God. Okay, we'll look for you next week. Thanks.